Recently just saw Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and after having watching the film, just to give my thoughts on other Jurassic Park films. Hold on, let me situate myself here. Just to throw in my thoughts on other Jurassic Park films, which I have done reviews for. The first one's a classic, obviously a 4-star out of 4 film, great flick. Jurassic Park 2 I thought was alright, slightly below average, but alright. Some people hated it, I thought it was alright. Jurassic Park 3 I'd give a 0 out of 4, bad film, pretty much forgettable. Not really anything to write home about, not really worth watching. Jurassic World I thought was a really boring first half, but a great second to third half of the flick that was really entertaining, with a very fun climax ending. I'd give it 4 out of 4, probably the best sequel after the first flick. The first half is too much of a retread of the original flick. This film, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I'll just go ahead and give my rating. I'd give it a 3 out of a possible 4. It's a good film, but it doesn't break any new ground for the franchise. Some of the new things it adds in are a little wishy-washy. Not stuff that I particularly like. But all in all, it's a good flick. It's a standard movie. You're not missing anything if you don't really see it. But if you like the franchise and you like, cool dinosaur action, you'll have a good time in the theater watching it, and I do recommend you see it. Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard are back. They're broke up for some reason, even though they were a couple at the end of the last film. It's never really explained why. They just kind of make a joke about it, like Chris Pratt's like, "You told me to leave, I left. You didn't want to live in a trailer," or something like that. It's like, what? They never really explain it, and at the beginning of the movie, he's hesitant about helping the dinosaurs, and they never really explain why he's so jaded since the last movie when he was all pro, animal rights and everything. Here he's just real jaded for no reason. So that's not explained. Bryce Dallas, the acting is fine. Nobody here does a bad job. Chris Pratt's probably is the best in the film, probably. First part of the movie is pretty much Bryce Dallas Howard's show until Chris Pratt finally shows up. Pretty much there's this volcano on the island that's going to erupt, kill all the dinosaurs, and they need to get there to rescue the dinosaurs. Bryce Dallas Howard meets this guy who's working with James Cromwell, the actor, who's this old man who used to work with Hammond, who helped design the cloning technology or whatever for the dinosaurs. But they had a falling out, and he's got this little girl who's supposedly his granddaughter. But anyway, and he tells her that he wants her and Chris Pratt to go there, get the dinosaurs, and they want to bring them and relocate them to another island that's safe. So she does that, hooks up with Chris Pratt, gets him to come help. They go there. There's these two annoying millennial type characters that are just really obnoxious. Some chick and some guy. They're not terrible in the later half of the film. They're okay. But for the first half of the film, I just couldn't stand them. I was hoping they would die every couple seconds. Their jokes are just really bad, forced in Marvel-style humor in a Jurassic Park film I just don't think needs to be there. Every film franchise seems to be trying to rip off Marvel now. Anyway, but they get there. Ted Levine is in this film as an asshole army guy. And of course, you find out the plan isn't really to relocate the dinosaurs. They want to take the dinosaurs, auction them off, and use their DNA to create new super weapons they can sell to military groups and things like that. They capture Blue, the T-Rex, and everything. This is where the first part of the movie, when they get to the island, really felt like a retread of the idea of Lost World, except here it's the good guys trying to get the dinosaurs off the island. So it started to give me bad flashbacks because I didn't like the first half of Jurassic World because it felt like a redo of the first film. Here, this sort of felt like a redo of Lost World, the sequel to the first film, so I was getting pissed. But then once you find out what's going on, it gets into the action, it gets better and entertaining. For part of the middle of this film, I was enjoying it more than Jurassic World because it felt more fresh and new than Jurassic World. Jurassic World is a really play-it-safe type flick, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for the fourth sequel in the franchise, but still it leaves, some to be desired there. But here's when you get an awesome scene. This is an awesome action scene. The volcano erupts. It's engulfing the whole friggin' island. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard and this random dude who they brought with him for some reason, they're all running away from the volcano and everything. The dinosaurs are running with them. They're getting wiped out left and right by the lava. Really cool scene. They jump into the water. Beginning of the film, I forgot to mention, you get a cool scene with the T-Rex where these guys are come there. They come there to collect the Indominus's DNA, leftover DNA from its dead corpse. And the T-Rex grabs a hold of a friggin' helicopter, the end of it, this ladder that's attached to it. I mean, where this dude's trying to get off the island and get on it. He's working with the villains. That was cool. And you think the dude's got away because the T-Rex like pulls half the ladder, but the other half the dude's like still hanging on. And then the big, I think it's like the Mosasaurus, the big water one, comes up out of the water and like eats the dude. That was cool. The Mosasaurus only has like one big action scene in this flick. It's pretty much the beginning. I was disappointed in that because it was one of the best parts of Jurassic World. At the end of the flick, though, you see it again, which was really cool. And the scene where these people are like surfing, it's like in the friggin' ocean, getting ready to eat somebody. That was wild. But anyway, so Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard and the two millennials or waste of space characters managed to get off there, and they get transported along with Ted Levine and his men and everybody else to this new island, or no, I mean to the bad guy's house. James Cromwell finds out what he's doing. He actually thought he was going to relocate the dinosaurs, and the dude just like smothers James Cromwell to death and kills him. This villain is really cartoonish. The bad guys here are really weak sauce. Ted Levine is okay, but the main dude is bad. Just really cartoonish. Anyway, Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt are there. They do a blood transfusion on Blue, the raptor from the last film, to save his life because he's been shot when he was being apprehended by the villains. And it's a funny scene though, where Chris Pratt has to get the blood from the T-Rex because it has to be another predator, carnivore type dinosaur. They do a blood transfusion with Blue. That was a cool, funny scene where Chris Pratt like jumps through the T-Rex's mouth trying to dodge it from eating him while it's pretty much like knocked out and it's like barely moving around. But they get the blood. They get the blood. They do the blood transfusion. Blue is okay. You find out there's this new evil dinosaur for the film, kind of like the Indominus in the last film. This one's called the Indoraptor. Pretty much a raptor DNA mixed with an Indominus Rex DNA. So it's like a satanic-looking raptor with an Indominus type face, but like really evil yellow eyes. But with a raptor body. It looks good. I like the design. The character itself, if you remember in Jurassic Park 3, where they tried to like up the ante by having the Spinosaurus kill the T-Rex, and the Spinosaurus, that to make it more vicious than a T-Rex, they made it like a serial killer. They do the same thing here. I didn't like it in Part 3 because it made the Spinosaurus seem more like a slasher movie villain instead of a dinosaur. Here it makes sense because this is a spliced genetic dinosaur, so it pretty much has this. It's even more serial killerish than the Indominus. I mean, not the Indominus, but the Spinosaurus was in Part 3. It's like freaking scraping on the windows and like reaching behind people and like flicking their hair and shit. It's pretty funny actually, but it ends up getting loose, of course, and in a very stupid way. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard let all the dinosaurs out, and Ted Levine goes in there, and throughout the movie he's like collecting teeth from the dinosaurs, and he sees the evil satanic raptor, and he's like, I get you, and he like walks there into the cage. He's like, I'll take your tooth after he's tranquilized it. He's like, and you're the audience, you're thinking, man, you're a friggin' idiot. He gets in there and he gets ate by the dinosaur. It's a really cool scene though, because he gets his friggin' arm ripped off. That was surprising that they went that way, went that gory. Not used to that in these movies. That was cool. They get out of there. They've released the dinosaurs. All hell's breaking loose. The Indoraptor is chasing after the little girl who's like the granddaughter, but we actually find out, lo and behold, she's actually a clone of the daughter of James Cromwell, who had died in a car accident, and that's the reason him and Hammond had a fallout, because he cloned a person, and Hammond apparently wasn't into that. That is not something I really like, because I don't want to see the Jurassic Park franchise go too sci-fi. Cloning dinosaurs is fine, but when you're getting into like cloning people, it just puts me in the mind of like one of those terrible B-movie sci-fi flicks where there's like clone people and everything. They don't go overboard with it, and it's pretty much fine in the film, but I just don't really want it. But anyway, so Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are protecting the little girl from the Indoraptor, and you get to the end of the film, you get some cool action here with the Indoraptor. It's pretty cool. Chris Pratt's like shooting at it, and he climbs up on top of the house, and he's up there with the little girl, and it's up there chasing them around on the house like a serial killer, and it's coming at them, and it's programmed to pretty much like react to whatever a laser light is like pointed at, it'll jump at. And Bryce Dallas Howard's up there. She just kind of appears out of nowhere. Her leg was injured earlier in the film by the Indoraptor, and she just kind of appears on top of the house later. We have no idea how she got there. It's supposed to be a surprise, but it's like, well, how the hell did you even know where they was? But anyway, she gets up there, points the laser thing at Chris Pratt. The raptor jumps at him and falls through the ceiling. You think it's going to, but then it climbs its way back up. Blue jumps at it and knocks it down in there. And it's like, go Blue! Blue's the hero of the flick. Knocks him down on top of this like dinosaur skeleton. He gets his body pierced. Cool scene. The Indoraptor is a good creation and a good villain, but he just does not measure up to the Indominus of the last film. He doesn't even come close. The Indominus of the last film was great. This guy, he's just good. He's not bad. He's just good. He's better than the Spinosaurus. He's good. He's just nothing to write home about. After that, all the dinosaurs are being like poisoned by this gas that's leaking inside the mansion, and they got to make a choice about whether to let the dinosaurs out or not into the human domain or whatever. And they're wanting to do it, but they decide not to do it. And then you know what's coming, and the little clone girl lets them out, and you see it coming though in the film, and she's like, you know, they're like me, I can't let them die, they're clones. They get out there, and Chris Pratt's like talking to Blue, and he's like, come with me, Blue. And Blue like looks at the cage, and it's like, I will not be held down. And Blue runs off into the forest. That was cool. Then you got Jeff Goldblum narrating like, now we're in Jurassic World or whatever. Jeff Goldblum's character is pretty much an extended cameo here. You don't really need him. He's not really needed in the film. I was happy to see Jeff Goldblum, but at the same time, his character was kind of annoying here. Just because he's just spouting random chaos shit to the two scenes he's in, just over and over, like, we're doomed. Didn't really work for me in this film. I liked him in Lost World and the first flick. Didn't enjoy it here. He could have been completely cut out, in my opinion. And the film ends pretty much with a setup for a bigger and badder sequel where all the dinosaurs are in, you know, human domain now. The Mosasaurus is in the water, you know, you're going to eat a surfer. And Blue is like off hanging out in the friggin' desert somewhere. And pretty much this film feels like the Search for Spock of like you've seen Search for Spock, like the second film in the Star Trek trilogy, pretty much, of 2, 3, and 4. This is what this film feels like. It's like the in-between flick. It's not bad, but it's not necessarily great. It's just the bridge movie to a much bigger sequel. This is a good film. The bad guy at the end, the dude who like organized the whole thing, he's like hiding under a vehicle as the dinosaurs are like running out of the place, and he gets back up and he thinks he's safe and all. Once the freaking T-Rex like eats him and roars, and that's pretty much the ending of the movie. It was cool how he got killed by the T-Rex. The T-Rex walks off too, and it's the same T-Rex from the last film. I thought that was cool. Yeah, all in all, this is a good film. You're not missing anything by not seeing this, but if you are a fan of the franchise, I do recommend you see it, because you'll most likely have a good time. It's just not really breaking any new ground. I feel like this film is setting up for what's going to be a better sequel. It's not as good as Jurassic World. It's better than Jurassic Park 2 and 3, though. I'll see you guys again with the next review.